It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. Now, about 2 months ago, I put together a 60% keyboard. I built it on New Year's Eve, and it's actually the keyboard that is being given away for our 1200 subscriber giveaway. And it is none other than the Harold IV 60%, which was at the time of build the cheapest possible 60% keyboard kit that you could get from parts on Taobao. Now my kit is slightly different because I had to upgrade some parts because other parts weren't in stock, so it's kind of a hybrid between the original 60 and the HIV 60 Plus because it has a underglow PCB. Now I said that if we managed to hit what was it, 1300 subscribers, that there would be a key set that would go along with it, and we've kind of smashed through that because we're at 1400 odd subscribers right now. So the key set is definitely going to be going with the keyboard. To add a little bit of a sweetener on top, I'm going to say that if we manage to actually hit 1600, now that's a really big stretch considering that there's only about 2 weeks left now. Okay, so we're currently at 14 something. If we hit 1600, I'm actually going to throw in something a little bit extra again. And what I'm talking about is I'm actually going to throw in, I've just got to find it in my drawers because I've got stuff everywhere. I'm going to throw in a sleeve, a snap-on sleeve, fleece lined, to go with it. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal. And if we don't make it, then well, the sleeve doesn't go with it. Nice and simple. So, but that's not really the purpose of today's video, as of course the title is going to give it away. It's actually going to be a impromptu review and having a look at how well a solder sucker works. So I'm going to get into a little bit more detail, but I'm just going to switch over to the desktop so we can see what we're talking about. Off goes that background and onto the desktop. So there it is. There's the 60%. What had happened was when I was putting these keycaps on it, I discovered that I had not only originally during the build stuffed up the right hand side positions, but I've actually stuffed up the left hand side. So I had inadvertently moved all of these bottom rows in by a quarter of a unit. I fixed these up on the stream. I didn't realize these were out until I went to put on the keycaps and the spacebar, and it doesn't fit because they're all off. So it means I have to desolder them. Not a problem, except for the fact that my cheap desolder sucker here is really horrible. Now, I'd been using it a little bit and it was kind of working until I took it to the Sydney meetup last year. And I won't say that it was exactly broken, but it started playing up at that meet. This particular solder sucker has the spring internally to it, and it has a retaining ring in here. So the spring, as you can see, it does have spring tension, but sometimes it slips off and then it doesn't actually return, because now if I press the release, it doesn't go anywhere, but if I press the release and manually move it, it does. It's not a very good mechanism, it's a very cheap mechanism. If I disassemble it, you could kind of see what it's like inside, but I'm not going to because it's got solder and metal particulates everywhere. But essentially it was yeah, it's not a very good solder sucker. It did work when it was actually engaging the spring properly, but as you can see, it's playing all sorts of games. So I said to the folks on the Australian Discord, recommend me a solder sucker that's going to be a decent quality, a solder sucker that I can get locally relatively quickly, but it's not going to cost the earth. And they recommended me having a look at the EDSYN Soldapullt, EDSYN and Soldepult, I think is what it is spelt, Soldapullt. And I found it on an Australian retailer called Mechatronics, which sell a whole bunch of, like, you know, electronics, soldering workshop kind of tools, which was all right. Now they've got 3 different versions of this tool, and they've got the Deluxe, which is massive. It's like 33 centimeters, so that's 13 and a bit inches for those who work in Imperials, and that's their Deluxe version. It's like all plastic kind of outside shell. Then they've got a electrostatic safe version, and it's a bit smaller, a little bit more expensive. And then finally they had a electrostatic version which has a metal barrel, and it's a little bit more expensive yet again. Now the last version though, compared to the big 33cm version, is actually only about $4 more expensive. So I thought to myself, it's $4, but you're going to get a plastic barrel versus a metal barrel. Why wouldn't you get something that's a little bit more rugged and in theory should last longer, better, because it's actually got that metal componentry in it. So I went ahead and I splurged and got the EDSYN Soldapullt Challenger, which is what they had labeled as the one with the metal barrel. Now I ordered it last week on Thursday. Today is Monday, and it came in the mail, so super quick, but it did seem like the price I paid kind of compensates for that. It was registered post, had to sign for it, but you know what? It's not too bad. It wasn't terribly expensive, didn't cost the earth. Now, while I've actually still got this on my lap, there's the sleeve. Now, I did make it, and it was something I had offered on sale. It was a prototype because it was the first kind of sleeve that I had used these plastic snaps on it, and I'm happy to give it away simply because, well, it's just sitting in storage and not doing very much for me. So, of course, if you don't like it and you do win this keyboard, you can always sell it, give it to somebody, so on and so forth. I think it's alright, worked out okay, and as you can see, the keyboard fits quite comfortably inside it. So there you go. It will actually fit slightly bigger keyboards because I think it'll go up to the 65%. It's based upon sizing for the FC660C. So if you do have another keyboard that you want to use it with, of course. Okay, so we'll put that away for the moment. I'm going to open this up. We'll have a quick look at it and then see, because I've got my soldering iron and everything over here on the side, if it will do what I need it to do. So let's see if I can open this without too much trouble. Now I did have somebody ask me yesterday about when my next live stream is going to be, and I had to say I honestly don't know. It's not something that I don't want to be doing, but as my daughter gets a bit older, she does require a little bit more attention. She is a lot more vocal, and as she grows older and bigger, it means her lung capacity is also significantly increased, which means you can hear her very clearly through a closed door when she's upset. And because of the quality of my microphone and the way that my microphone works, it can pick up pretty much everything and anything going on anywhere, including her when she's wailing at the top of her lungs. So the only sort of opportunity I have to really do a live stream is if she's out. So right now she's actually at daycare and I'm doing this straight after work. Or if my wife decides to go on a play date or on a trip or something like that out for the day and I'm home, then I can do a live stream. So it's a bit unplanned. It's not something that I can really give anybody, you know, pre-warning that this is what I'm going to be doing and what kind of live stream I'm going to be doing. It's just a matter of when it happens and whatnot. So here it is. It's come out of the packet and you can see EDSYN Soldapullt desoldering tools. Push the knob down, open the cover, snap out cover. Oh, that's disassembly. Right, okay, so I probably should keep that. Seems like it's got some part lists, which is pretty cool. I actually haven't seen it on the other side because when I pulled it out, this was facing up. It's got a removable tip, as you can see, and I did see this on the picture when I bought it, but I did like the fact that the spring was on the outside, not on the inside. So the construction should be a bit better in that way. And there you go. Powerful vacuum, strong lightweight construction, available in low static, and it is made in the USA. So it looks like the packet's already been breached a little. That's pretty fancy. Now, is this, doesn't feel like metal. Did I get ripped off? Or is it metal? It could be coated metal. No, it's metal. I just ran my fingernail across the cross hatching on the barrel there, and it took some of my fingernail off. So I think it's metal. I think it's got some kind of coating on it for electrostatic protection, which would make perfect sense. So I think that's the button. there we go, and it's designed for easy one hand, so we can see that at a full stretch my hand can actually lever it down. Oh, feels very strong and sounds good. So of course the test is to just crank it a few times and hope nothing breaks. Sounds like it's got a bit of suction on it. I'm going to put my fingertip on the end of that. Whoa! Spring doesn't even go all the way up, and it doesn't have enough to hold itself, but it definitely does have a good amount of oomph to it. Cool. Now, I can unscrew the barrel there at the front. It's got a lubed thread. It's got a very wide looking chamber, so I don't know how many mils it's got, but I think it should do the trick. So let's just put that back on. Don't think I've got any grease on my fingers. Maybe I've got a little bit of grease on it. So we can see compared to the old model, it's a very similar, my old one, very similar chamber size, so it should have more than enough power, but the spring mechanism is actually longer, so that actual pump component of it, the pin goes all the way down but not all the way out compared to that one does. Okay, so we'll see that's actually got a much, there we go, a longer tip on that. Yeah, hopefully that'll do a much better job. So let's just put that on the side. I think I might need to get some solder. Give me a second. Just so in case I need to add a bit more to reflow some old solder that I put on. Now, my iron is just going to turn that on now so it can heat up. And I'm going to leave the actual keycaps on. What I've actually done to this keyboard since last time also was I've went to my parents' place and got some toothpicks. I don't use toothpicks at home, so I've actually got some toothpicks, and I've wedged toothpicks into the actual stabilizers, so hopefully they'll help hold the stabilizers in so that they're not going to pop out simply because they're half cut holes. Now that is starting to smoke, so let's just clean that tip up. There we go. Let's just put some fresh solder on it, and then we can clean that up. Now the ones that I want to change out, because they were on the left hand side when it was the right way up, so it's these ones over on this side, which means they're the ones over here on the right hand side. So I'm going to shift all of these over by that that quarter unit, all three of these switches. So first, that's already still staying down. Let's go from right to left and see how well this does. Come on, you can do it. Heat up. Not too bad. It pulled some of it, but not all of it. Reflow that. I don't know if that pulled out any more. Okay, I might need to bump up the temperature a little bit too, I think. Let's take it up to 350. Now I don't have a very fat head on this. The TS100 does have chisel tips, but I don't have one, so I'm just using the standard one that I had previously, and hopefully it'll do the trick. I do have a much finer tip, which is for soldering like SMD components though. Oh, that worked really well. Okay, so if I just hold this up, see if the camera will focus on it. So this bottom pin didn't fully suck out, but this top one did. It cleaned it up really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more back onto that bottom one and see if I can get it to wick it up. Get it nice and hot, flow it, and there we go. Oh, lovely. So, and now I've just ejected a couple of slivers of solder into that, which is really nice to see. Now, in theory, I should be able to pop out that switch and hopefully not burn myself. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna take the cap of it. It's a bit challenging because I think the plate is holding on to it a bit tight as well. I don't have a switch pulling tool. You know what? I'm going to desolder them all first, and then I'll worry about getting them out. So let's go on to number 2 in the middle here. Get it flowing, get it nice and hot, and look at that. Well, you can't really see it, but you'll just have to trust me, it took it all out. Now, unfortunately, I think the keyboard's a bit heavy to mount on my quad hands, so that's why I haven't really done that. But you're just going to have to wait until I desolder all of these, and then you can see the result of it. Wow, I'm loving this, because my old one, my cheapie over here on the side, has never successfully pulled all the solder out of a joint in one shot. Now, I know a couple of the folks who are on the Australian Discord wanted me to let them know how well this works. Whoa, look at that, just this massive shaving of solder right there. Go on, get it, get it. And it seems to be working really well. So you can see I can handle it very easily with one hand. Now, I do have a reasonably large hand, but I think if you had a smaller size hand, it's still doable with a bit of a stretch. Okay, so this one's just the pins sticking to the back of the pad. So I'm just gonna make sure it comes forward. Right, so they're all free now. I'm just gonna discharge that off there. Let's see if I can get these switches pushed out. Oh. I'm not sure what I can use to get the switches out without potentially nicking them or damaging them. But I'm just gonna, yes, I should use a keycap puller, but I didn't. So what have I got? What have I got? What have I got that I can use to maybe encourage those switches to come out with? Got some Allen keys down here. It's a good size for that middle one. Let's see if I can wow, this is really being stubborn. This switch does not. There we go. Just popped it out of the PCB and it's out. Let's have a look. Doesn't seem to be damaged. It's 2. 3. Okay, so the size of the Allen key I just used to push them out with, in case anybody is interested, is a what is that? 1, 2, 3. It is a 7/64 of an inch. whatever size that is in metric. So now let's put them in so that they'll work this time. So I'm going to put these keycaps back on them, and then that way when I put them back in, I'll be able to line them up properly, and it should hopefully prevent another reoccurrence. What I am also going to do while I've got that is I'm actually going to put the spacebar on first, and that way it should help prevent a reoccurrence of the issue. So spacebar is on, the pins go down side, so let's get them into the right spot that way. Excellent. Number 2. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And last one. It's very much a learning process. Okay, so now we can see that the alignment is correct. The switches are moving freely. And then we can solder it back in. So now I'm going to drop my temperature back down to 300 because I don't want it so hot. Wait for it to ramp up. So while that's happening, I'm going to say that this is a success. Now, it doesn't feel like metal, but with the cross hatching on it, it is metal. I would say it's lightweight aluminium, which is good because it means the solder is actually cooling down very quickly anyway when it's inside. It is going to be probably quite durable. You could probably knock it about. And of course the rest of it's very ruggedized plastic. No doubt you can get replacement parts. Yeah, low static Challenger, standard desoldering tool. So I think it's got like a little hook hole here so you can hang it up on something if you need to, on a pegboard, something like that. But I like it. I like it. So we're up to temp. Let's just get some fresh solder onto that. Whoa. Onto the table even. Burn my poor IKEA table surface. And clean it off a bit. Make sure we get a nice clean, freshly tinned tip, and then let's restore the functionality to this baby. And we're done. There you go. Done, 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 done. Actually, I'm gonna disconnect that, and then of course I'm gonna protect the tip of my soldering iron by just covering it with some more solder. Now, it does seem wasteful to do that, but it does seem to do pretty well in terms of actually protecting the tip, and then you get a much cleaner, easier tip once it holds up, and then you can just put it through the brass scrub here, the brass brush afterwards. Now, in conclusion, I like it. it works. It feels strong. The spring is on the outside, so there's no weird engagement issues. The button is just a very simple lift mechanism by the feel of it. Well worth the price. Now, noting that it was only another $4 more expensive than the all plastic deluxe version, which was a big thing that is much longer than this. Now this is only, I think, 20 odd centimeters. So let's just take that out. Ruler, tip to end is 22.5. So we're talking 10 centimeters. We're talking what, 4 inches shorter than the deluxe version. I don't know what you'd use the deluxe version for, unless if you're, you know, double hand cranking or you've got giant hands or something like that. But yeah, I think this is going to be a tool that I'm happy to recommend for anybody who's interested in asking for one. Now, in Australian dollars, it costs, it was like $22 plus shipping, so it really isn't that expensive. Now, of course, you could cheap out and get, you know, the plastic version, and I'm sure it would do just fine. But we'll just see how that metal barrel lasts. And I can feel it. It is slightly cooler. So there you go. Done, 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 done. Now, since I've already got the camera rolling and everything else, I might as well put this back together and then tuck it away in the sleeve, ready for the giveaway in a couple of weeks. So what that does mean though is I do have to use a keycap puller to find where those screw holes are, and we'll find out if any of my bits and pieces come off or not. So there's one screw hole there, there's one down the bottom where I literally just fixed it. Is that right? Okay, so I can't use that one because the plate's in the way. So let's just put that one back on. There's one here between the spacebar and that. Oh no, I fixed that side, so fixed that one previously. Let's take that one off. Let's see if this will destroy what I've done with the toothpicks. That was unexpected. So that one's open. I think there's a screw hole up here. There's definitely one in the middle. So let's pop that off there. I should probably look at the case and see how many actual mount points there are and whatnot. So that's the remnants of the so I've got one up there, there's one on the end over here somewhere. Yes, okay, so let's take that and that off. I've got the one down there, got the one in the middle, there's one on the edge, and then there's one up towards the back. As you can see, I don't build very many 60% keyboards. It's not my, wasn't my sort of preferred size. So let's drop it in. Come on, get in there. There we go. It's nestled in. Should probably find spacebar, screwdriver, and screws. So see if I can get these in. Make sure they line up, and in it goes. Don't want to over tighten it, of course. Very easy to do so with these. Now, of course, I wouldn't necessarily put the greatest confidence in the quality of these standoffs and screws and inserts and stuff like that, simply because it's just relatively cheap in terms of its build and its components. But as long as they do their job and they hold, it should be okay. Come on, you can do it. Ah. No. Now I have a loose screw in there, literally, which will require me to take these other two out. Oh my gosh. These things aren't even magnetic, so what a pain. You know what, I'm not going to prolong this video any further. I can do it in my own time and whatnot. But there you go. Solder sucker, my approval, like it, fantastic, does its job. Thanks very much for checking out the video. And of course, don't forget, if you haven't entered the giveaway for the 1200 subscribers at 1600, it'll come with a sleeve as well. So like, share, you know, let the word out. And if we hit that, it comes with a sleeve. Fantastic. Thanks very much for checking out the video. And of course, until next time, happy clacking.